Hello, everybody. Welcome to DIY the show. This is where we talk about DIY ethics, morals, ideas, and how they relate to your real, actual life. So each week, me, Andrew, Larry, I sit down with a couple of guests, and we talk about why they choose to do it themselves and why it is better than everything else. So without further ado, I want to welcome you all to DIY. It's time for DIY. Everybody clap, it's fun. DIY. It's time for DIY. Oh, hello, welcome everybody to the beautiful show called DIY. My name is Andrew Lowry. I am your host as always. Thank you again for tuning in. We are at episode 9. I can't believe we made it this far, and I keep this like cart that you take to the west when you're traveling to find better pastures, and like we had a wheel, but whatever. Bad analogy. But either way, we're here on the show, and so off the top of the show each week, I've been trying to find something to talk to you all about. This week I've been thinking about confidence. So right off the top, I want to talk about what I think confidence really means. So, confidence isn't being completely sure of yourself and being completely blind to everything around you. It's about being self-aware. This is kind of the percentage I put out there where real confidence is 50% self-awareness and 50% complete narcissism, delusional beliefs in yourself. It's you need to have complete faith in yourself, but at the same time know what you're really doing. So I want to tell you all what we're talking about today is activism. It takes a lot of confidence to put yourself out there and say how you really feel and take a stance. And we're at a time in the world right now where I think that's what people need to do. So find your confidence and find your strength and get out there and do something. So perfect segue. Like I said, we're talking about activism. I have a few guests on the show. We're going to help tell you how you can get organized, how you can take your energy and put it out there and build something, make real change. But yeah, so I want to thank you all for being on this, for watching the show. If you're watching the YouTube stream, that's awesome. Comment in the YouTube section. We're looking for like your favorite protest lines. Even if you're watching this later, leave us a comment with your favorite protest song or your favorite protest sign you've ever seen. We'd love to see it. Interact with us. But off the top, always, I like to say hi to my house band, which is Mr. Sonny Jim Clifford. How we doing today, Johnny Jim? You drinking hooch on the show this time? All right, hey, not gonna hold the Jim down. So Jim, each week on the show we get the words of Jimdom. So for you guys who are maybe new watchers, haven't known this before, each week Jim gives us a piece of wisdom. We call it Jimdom because his name is Jim, and I like puns. So Jim, what's the words of Jimdom for today, sir? Great. That's the words of Jimdom, everybody. Thank you, Jim, for being on the show. Thank you, Jim. Thank you. So also next to me on my right on the couch is Justin Arena, Ladyslipper art. He's our featured artist for this week. Can we get a round of applause for Justin? All these golf claps everywhere. I love it. So Justin, we've known each other a long time now. I met you outside the Middle East after I played a show, and you were like, "You're super cool," and I was like, "Oh my God, someone actually likes me. Yeah. Let's be friends forever." Yeah. But you have all your beautiful art behind us. So why don't you tell us a little bit about these paintings? Is this a series? I feel like we're in space, so why don't you tell us about the art a little bit?
So everything I brought today is a series. Other than that one, that one's just pretty, so I brought it.
Nice.
But this is all a series that I actually debuted at a show I was having called Art in the Rotunda at the Rockland Public Library.
Very cool.
And it's about vastness. So this is the piece that started it all. Mm-hmm. And basically, that little orb right there, it looks like a planet.
Yeah.
We're going to call it an orb, not a planet. That represents everything that can manifest in the human conscience and everything that can be conceivable. And then that figure is what has created and is overwatching all of those ideas in physical space. And then that little figure will never be able to even imagine what is beyond the rest of
Wow, you make me feel pretty bleak right now, Justin. I feel pretty alone in the universe.
Isolated like
you are.
Isolated, Carby knows what's up.
But it's just about vastness. So, and then the idea is as it progresses, it's gonna zoom out. So
it's creating
it's
a world.
Gonna zoom out, and then eventually I'm not even gonna be able to paint it, and I'm gonna stop because they can't.
It's just gonna be a meme at the end. It's gonna be one of those
gonna,
memes where it zooms out.
That's exactly.
That's awesome. So Justin, I've known you as a musician. So getting into art, what would you say is sort of been the big difference as far as creating when it comes to writing a song as opposed to painting a painting?
So there's very different reasons and different aspects to singer-songwriting. Being an artist, being a writer, author, and just a creative in general. Yeah. And there's being a creative in general is an outlet.
Yeah.
Having those umbrella terms and having how it manifests is differently. For me, being a singer-songwriter, being my primary, I'm not gonna say branding
outlet.
But, that's like
creative.
That's
outlet.
like my main thing. My squeeze.
Yeah. Your bae.
Good at this.
Your bae. Do people say bae still?
I don't say bae.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
I prefer better half myself.
There you go. Carbia. In the clinch, always.
Yeah, but I really I go from different reasons. As a singer-songwriter, it's like to
convey an emotion, maybe.
I try to be a really positive person.
Yeah.
And I channel all the negativity that I would otherwise put on people through my songs. So all I have left to give other people is positive energy.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a really good.
Well, I think that's one of the things I've loved about you, Justin, is that you have this positive energy and you're such like a wholesome, good-natured person, and I love that about you. I've tried to be that person, but I feel like I'm the guy smiling while shaking, drinking a cup of coffee, like, yeah, everything's okay. I'm sure I'm fine. It's great to see you. And so it's like I love the genuine positivity and with this bleakness. So is this maybe a hidden side of Justin Arena that we're exploring?
Well, also, so I explained to you the outlet.
Yeah.
For singer-songwriter. Well, what the painting is I really like to kind of have an outlet where I can take concepts and like once I'm done with this, I can just be like, all right, see ya. And then I'm not clung to anything, so it's like I can make a series. That series right there it has a lot of other pieces with it. It is solely the only concept on it is that I like those colors.
Hey,
literally it.
Well, I think that's really nice about more like visual art, and it kind of does give you that little bit more of a freedom where I just want to explore this. Because like I could write a goofy song about how I like apples, but is anybody gonna really care? Well, maybe you guys might like an apple. Should I write a song about apples? Leave us a YouTube comment. I will write it. But yeah, so what's the name of your art page we can find?
It's called Ladyslipper Art. I launched it like 3 days ago.
Nice. And yeah, we've been sharing it out all day, so you can find that link there. It's in the Facebook event as well. But yeah, you also told me you gave me this nice gift. So this is Justin's new album. He's in the Justin Arena project. Beautiful, beautiful band. So you just came out with a new album. So how long it's been out?
It's actually almost been out. It's been out a little over half a year.
Okay,
It came out in December. But we're going to be coming out with a new thing at the end of the year. And
Very cool.
I'm going to be doing more touring, and it's going to be we're all folky and, and cute. And
Very
stuff.
cool.
So
We love
come be folky and cute with us.
Hey, that's
sometime.
right here with you, folky and cute.
We'll play your bathtub. We'll play your
Keys
attic.
in a pod, buddy.
We'll play your mom's house.
We'll play your grandma's, your nana's 100th birthday party.
Yeah,
we'll do anything.
In your dog's bed.
Oh, there you go.
The little circles for it, like thing.
That's a show.
Play
That's
there.
a house show, right? How about a dog house show? That's...
Please.
We're having a dog house show soon, guys. But yeah, so either way, thank you again, Justin, for coming on. Check out Ladyslipper Art. We're going to go to a music video. This is actually by one of our guests on the panel. He's in a band. This is a music video from his band. It's Troll 2 with Lois Lane. Let's go to that cutaway, and when we come back, we got our panel on the show. Okay. Hey, Justin. Oh, we're kissing out.
And it's Lois Long, by
See ya.
the way.
Lois Long. We'll be right back.
On the blues that got us stuck here. So baby, I wash my hands, she got in my legs, and drop some cash on a new dress for. It was the lamp black and it ain't got no back, and with it I walk the dance floor. I say I'm going out. come with me. 'Cause we are too young. Stop acting free. Yeah, come on, baby, come on, come on. I want to live like Lois Long. Well, we've been living under great polluted urban skies for just a little too long. I think we should go out, get it in, get it on, and blaze it up until it's dawn. I wanna do shots that someone else has bought, and act as if I don't have any cares. I want you to grab me tightly on a Friday night and put the curl back into my hair. I said I'm going out. Won't you come with me? 'Cause we are too young. Stop acting free. Yeah, come on. Baby, come on. Come on. Baby, come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. I want to live like Lois Long. I wanna be there when they shut this place down, when they call the cops and no one's around. I wanna be a beautiful mess. I want the hand that threw the brick through the big window up my dress. And when we get put on a bar tab and we've gotta run, 'cause there's a little anarchist in everyone, we might die today. So baby, what do you say? Let's go get drunk and go make a love. Yeah. Come on, baby, come on, come on, but it had a baby, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. I wanna live like Lois Long. I've got to live like Lois.
We might die tomorrow, so let's go get drunk and fuck! Yeah!
Okay.
Any swear.
I'm a bad
But don't be
man.
vulgar just to be vulgar.
Right,
Unless
yeah.
you want to. Hey, we're back on the show. I was not paying attention because that's how I roll. Welcome back to DIY the show. You just watched a music video from Troll 2. I really like that band a lot. They're really cool people. But either way, we're back here on the show. I got my man Carbia next to me as always. What's up, hardcore video, hardcore retro god video game master? What's going on, buddy? How you been?
Far from dreadful as usual.
Far from dreadful. That's what I love. Same.
Of course.
What are we playing right now?
Vice Project Doom.
Vice Project Doom. So
Yeah.
what is the process? What is this game about?
It's supposed to be set in the future. It's about some cop who's like trying to solve a murder involving like a weapons company that's selling like a drug known as gel.
Gel. Anybody got a gel hookup?
But either way though,
I'm looking.
as far as gameplay though, it's
Yeah.
pretty much the bastard child of Ninja Gaiden, Spy Hunter, and Operation Wolf.
Very cool.
Minus
Very
his African
cool.
compatibility, of course.
Very cool. So yeah, hardcore retro god. What's been going on with you? What's new in the series? I heard you were working on some merch. Can we look forward to some hardcore retro god tees and pins?
As soon as possible.
There you
I mean,
go.
of course, yeah. I mean, I've already have the design set up, but as far as the actual season 5, not to repeat myself, but
Yeah.
30th anniversary of Mega Man.
There you go. Represent. Gotta love Mega Man.
And then after that, of course, I'll have various other titles like Darius Twin, Castlevania.
Mhm.
Let's see. And of course the Streets of Rage trilogy.
What's the game? So we're talking about activism today. I'm trying to think about the video game where there was like a guy who was made out of green orbs, and wasn't it all about like he was trying to heal the planet?
Oh, that wouldn't be Vector Man.
I think it's Vector Man. Was that what Vector Man was about, or do I have that confused?
Definitely, I'm not. I mean,
I'm totally wrong.
Oh no, you're right.
Or Sonic. I guess Sonic's an activist. He's trying to free those animals from the burden of being these crazy monsters.
Oh
right?
yeah, Eggman, Robotnik.
Yeah, exactly.
Got
Cool.
every single installment, by the way.
So, Carby, you gonna hang with us, play some more games?
Of course, yeah. I'll have the momentum swapped up as best as I can, but
Hey.
of course, I promise to at least beat one or two.
All right, cool. So we'll be paying attention to you in the background. So, Carbia, thanks again for hanging out as always. But I want to welcome you all back to the show and get right into the topic. So we're talking about activism today, and for me, activism can mean many different things, and it's all about making incremental changes in the world around you, but I want to explore it more, so I brought in a couple of guests, and we're going to introduce you to those guests right now. So sitting next to me is my panel of beautiful guests. How are we all doing today? Group, hello.
Hello.
See, Mark tried for the harmony. It didn't go. So we'll go down the line and introduce each one of you. So next to me here we have
My name is Shannon.
Shannon. There we go. Welcome, Shannon. So Shannon, let me ask you, tell me a little bit about what you do as far as activism is concerned, and what's your favorite protest song?
That's a good question. So I'm kind of a little bit all over the place.
Yeah.
I have been doing some community organizing and then some work around anti-racist organizing as well.
Very cool.
My favorite protest song, I kind of have two. I had a
That's-
hard time thinking about this. So I really like What's Going On by Marvin Gaye.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of like,
That's
you know,
true.
it's not necessarily something you yell while you're marching, but I really love it.
I would love to see a crowd of 10,000 people singing "What's Going On."
Yeah,
It's great.
yeah, it'd be an amazing march.
And what's the other one?
I also really love how Kendrick Lamar's "All Right" has become kind of the voice of this kind of
Very cool.
anti-police brutality.
And that's interesting because, you know, I think a lot of people look at protest songs as something you can either chant or something that was made on an acoustic guitar.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think just making a stance in general kind of can make it a protest song if you're talking out against something.
Absolutely.
Very cool. Well, thank you for hanging out. We're going to get into some more. So next to you we have...
My name is Leary.
So we got Nori. Whoa, Nori got the siren.
Konnichiwa!
So what's going on, Nori? What's new? How you been?
I've been good.
It's been lit.
Yeah, it has been lit.
Cool. So why don't you tell me a little bit about what you do as far as organizing and activism, and maybe your favorite protest song?
Cool. I do a lot of different stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I've done a lot of different stuff over the past. I book all ages sober shows in Worcester. I just got done with the fourth and final Sleepover Fest.
Sleepover Fest, everybody.
Which is a all ages sober donation based 2-day music festival where people bands play and goof around, and then I also organize with my friend Joe, and we run an organization called the Scamp School, which is
I've been checking you guys out, and it's
Yeah.
awesome. You're basically just raising a bunch of like little punks to go out there and like keep the fight going.
Yeah, we just had our last event last night for the summer where we've been running like weekly game meetups for the past like 14 weeks. Every Friday at 8 p.m. we will meet up in the park and we'll play all these really dangerous games and talk about like youth liberation and like autonomy and self-governance, and we'll kind of like center around these conversations. We'll be like talking about how like resistance doesn't always have to be like, it can be rooted in like the struggle, but is also we can express that through play and have fun while.
So what's like the basis of the school in general? Is it sort of just to sort of educate younger minds and sort of like open them up to these possibilities?
Yeah, it's well, like we have a few slogans. We it's like corrupt the youth and also like goof up the revolution kind of, which is kind of like we kind of want. We think like school is like the first institution in which like a lot of young people can kind of really visualize the fact that like, oh, we're in this like institution and there's all these rules and they're controlling us and it's like mandatory and compulsory.
Yep.
And then being and like starting from a place of like, hey, let's critique that. Like, why are we learning these things? Like, what's happening? What's happening to you? And like, why do you think it's mandatory? Why do you think teachers don't want you to do certain things? And kind of like questioning that whole process like allows us to like have a larger conversation with youth about just like the state and the government as a whole.
Very cool.
So just like allow it and kind of like normalizing critical thought and making mistakes and like.
I think that's the biggest
playing
thing, and
along
that's
the
what
way.
punk rock taught me. I mean, I think that's like what punk music has been like a basis for in my life, is to critically analyze everything around you and question authority at every turn, and that's awesome. So Nori, what's maybe one of your favorite protest songs?
I don't listen to a lot of protest songs.
Well, what's a song that's maybe making a stance,
I like,
maybe a little
I
more
like,
political?
a lot anything that kind of Taina Alisi puts out.
Okay.
No Es Mi Presidente is like a freaking banger. Anything that Downtown Boys puts out, they just got out with their new album. It's amazing.
Crazy.
I'm a big fan. Evan Greer, who's from
Yeah.
Boston.
Evan Greer.
She's amazing. She just played at Sleepaway Fest and it was super cathartic.
Really?
And amazing. Yeah, it meant a lot for me to have her play. She was around in Worcester when I was like a kid, and it really meant a lot for me to have her play. But yeah.
Very
Those
cool.
are my thoughts.
Very cool. So last on the panel, we got Mr. Mark Schwaller here. How you doing, Mark?
I'm doing good, Andy. How you?
I hate that thing.
It's like
I
really
hate
long.
Versus the Rockford Files, now I've got the Schwaller Files.
Why do I get the laughing popsicle?
You get the laughing popsicle. So Mark Schwaller, longtime friend. If anybody's ever paid attention to any DIY show, Mark Schwaller's probably been the guest who's been on this show the most out of my podcast. I love you, Mark. How you doing, man? What's going on?
Doing well, man. Doing
So
well.
why don't you tell me, I mean, I know, but let the people know what you sort of do activist-wise and organizationally.
Yeah, so I spent a lot of years kind of part of the direct action community in Boston, helping to organize acts of civil disobedience, also acts of rallies and marches and things like that, and helping make sure the message is told as clearly as possible to the people, and also keeping those participating as safe as possible.
Yeah, very cool. So, I mean, you're a musician as well. I'm
Yep.
sure you know, I've heard you sing protest songs. And I'm sure this might be a harder one for you because you have like a list that you're like, I like this song because I like playing it. So what's your favorite protest song?
I think I gotta go off the map a little bit. There's a song a friend of mine, Zoe Toby, wrote called "What Is This Moment."
Okay, I think I've actually heard you perform that.
Yeah,
before.
I
it's a
do
great
it a lot.
song.
It's a fun song because it's very simple form. You just say, "What is this moment we've been given," and that's basically the whole song.
Yeah.
But then that means it's really easy for anyone else to jump in and say, "Well, what is this person next to me I've been given? Well, what is this? What is this?"
Well, you got that, like,
Greatness I've been
you
given.
give that sort of crowd participation where it's like that blues. What blues? What's your blues?
That's it,
Give me your
man.
blues,
That's
man.
it.
You know, and then you're like, paycheck don't make it to the end of the week. You know, and like, there you go. And I think that's awesome. So thank you all for coming in. Thank you all for being part of my panel. So, you know, each one of you has, you know, I think we're talking about activism, and the big thing I wanted to explore today was sort of how do people start from the ground level? How do people get things going? How do they make change, you know? And with each of you, you've organized things, you've built, you know, we're all community organizers. One of the things I wanted to ask you all is maybe how do you get people to sort of stand up? How have you sort of built up your cause and found people to support it? Feel free, anybody, to jump in. Everyone's looking at each other.
I'll say it.
Yeah.
Music and art, like
Yeah.
what this right here. You know,
Yeah.
what's happening. I mean,
Like starting them off with a good time, right? You introduce people
That's
in a
it.
way that's like entertaining and fun and acceptable and something they're used to.
people want to be part of something that's fun, and people want to be part of something that other people are enjoying with them. So,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, exactly. How about you, Nori?
It's complicated. I'm kind of salty a lot of the time.
You're a salty guy. I mean,
Yeah,
hey, me
it's
too, man.
cool.
Me too.
It's cool. It's kind of hard working, like a lot. I think this is a topic that's coming up, but talking about, you know, like the social media's role
Yeah.
in activism, and kind of like working through like this struggle of like making sure that you have like the right aesthetic and this right like image that you're putting out there, and that you kind of have like this. So you like build up a reputation of like both like being able to be like consistently everything this person puts out is going to be great, and it's really hard to like keep up that consistency. And like if you don't catch people at the right time with the right image, it's going to like it's like really hard to.
Oh,
get
trust me, I know. That's what it's like with
Come
with
in,
a
yeah.
lot of stuff where it's, you know, you sort of like, it is unfortunate that you're getting judged by the cover when really it's your ideals that you should be
Right.
being judged by, you know, and it's kind of the whole problem where everybody can create now that the internet has sort of leveled the playing field.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you stand out from the other organizations or things that are doing something similar to you?
Right. Yeah, it's really interesting, like kind of like the contrast of like, oh, the internet's super accessible and everyone's on the internet, so you're just like, okay, the best way to make my movement accessible is that if I like post all these things on the internet and let everybody know on the internet that this is going on.
But then at the same time, do you feel like
it feels like it's alienating in a way because you don't know how genuine? Because I feel like I'll put out a lot of personalized messages to people, be like, hey, come to this thing, like I'd really like to have you here. But then there's like this like sort of suspicion of like, oh, maybe like Nori's just doing like a max text shootout. It's like I am, but like at the same time, I actually genuinely
took time
want
to write
to
this.
like
Yeah.
come.
I
so it's
picked
kind
you
of
on
like
the list.
Yeah, and a lot of times I'll like do that a lot. And then people won't come to the thing, and then I'll meet up, and then I'll see them once in person, and I'll talk to them about the project, or I'll talk to them about the show, or whatever it is, and then they'll be like, oh, like this is an actual thing that's taking space, like taking physical space, that like I can actually go to and engage with instead of just like a meme on the internet.
I know.
So, and I think kind of like working, it kind of like really, it's really hard to like push that sort of virtual and that that reality, when like it's so complicated and like outreach is so complicated. And like using and like thinking about people in terms of numbers is really like disheartening a lot of the time. So it's like working with that is really.
Yeah, I mean, and at the same time, you want to be genuine. Like at this, you're worrying about aesthetic. You're worrying about getting the social media out, and I think sometimes it's hard for people who are organizers to feel like I'm organizing everything else that's going on. I'm organizing the people, the place, the stuff we need, and then on top of that, I have to promote it and create this sort of persona that gets attention. And it's like that's I feel like a really unfortunate side effect of the internet where we're at right now, where you're stuck having to play up a character or get to just fight for attention, and when at the same time I just want to talk, you know what I mean? So that's crazy. But
it's pretty funny, like a lot of people will be like, oh, I've been meaning to come to the scam school, like I've been meaning to do this or I've been meaning to that, and we're like, oh, I feel like you're too cool for me to hang out with or something like that, and I'll just be like, I'm literally posting every day, come hang out with me in the park and play games. And then even that is what's like, it seems like there's like some wall barrier there, so like breaking through that, and like especially if like people don't understand, it's like there's all this whole other world of organizing and getting it together. And, having to. Like,
there's a whole other side you got to do, and I get you with being salty. I mean, I get that 100%. Honestly,
Same here.
I've been throwing shows for like 10 years. You know how many shows nobody showed up to that I invited all my friends to, and they're like, I totally love, and how many times people are like, oh, I've seen some clips, whatever, you know, no, I'm not calling anybody out. But, you know, either way, I get how it's salty.
I'm guilty of that too, so I'm trying to
you know
say,
what? Cream always rises to the top, Nori. Cream always
empathize.
rises to the top, so just do your thing, and if people don't want to show up, they'll be sorry later that they missed out. That's how I look at it from now.
I feel bad because it's like I know these people, like I know you'll enjoy it, like I know if you just like come and you hang out, you'll be like, oh, this is great, like I'm having a great time.
Bring it to them.
I'm so glad I hang out.
Get a bus. Who's got a bus? Someone get Nori a bus.
Meet me halfway. I'm already organizing.
I'll meet you at the dunks.
It's free.
We'll go in the parking lot and talk.
Exactly.
So how about you, Shannon? What do you think something is a good way, maybe that you maybe not have done, or just in general you've seen, a good way to sort of motivate people to your cause and get people to sort of stand up?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm kind of thinking of like a roundabout way of answering that, which is like, by building a community where like people, and I mean I think this is kind of a tangential thing to what you're saying, building a community where people can come and get plugged in. I mean, we started doing open mics at our apartment, and it wasn't always with a specific kind of intention in mind. I mean, I think in the beginning the intention was creation and like creating an artistic community, but then over time that kind of evolved to, you know, us realizing like how can we better, you know, provide a platform for people and creating a space, which is a lot of work, you know what I mean? Like, where people can plug in or like learn how to paint a banner, or, you know, people are learning how to like do a callback thing, you know what I mean? So I think that a lot of people are super interested, and I think like creating easy outlets.
That's true. I think creating an open space that people feel eased into, like you're saying with an open mic. So someone comes to an open mic to go watch a friend of theirs play a song or two, and then they get into a conversation about something they normally wouldn't have talked about before, and people meet each other, and it grows from there, and that's sort of grassroots organizing at its base, right?
Absolutely. And we were also like trying to build a community of people who take care of each other, and when you have that basis, like there's so much that we can do with that. Once people trust each other and are supported and are like in a safe space or being taken care of, you know, I think then like that building block alone makes people so much more able to either take risks or decide how they want to engage with like any number of
organizations
absolutely,
or causes. Yeah.
yeah.
I think music and house shows. That's kind of like it's like the family you choose kind of thing is a great way to look at activism, where it's sort of you're creating a space and a platform for people who are all feeling a certain way and want to make a change about something. For music, it was a place for me to feel where I don't feel weird. But like with activism, it's a place for you to make a change and to make a stand against something you actually, are against or feel strongly about, So I want to get one last question in before we go to another video. We'll keep it quick. But if each one of you can give me sort of like, I know this is hard and I don't want to like pigeonhole you, but like what sort of cause means the most to you? So, I mean, we can start, we'll start with you, Mark, on the end there. What would you say is maybe the cause you most believe in at this time? It can change.
Yeah, no, it's a funny question too, because it's the deeper you get into your work, I find whatever issue you take up, you find that everything's connected in the end. It's for me, it's most of my work goes towards climate justice. That's actually what I do for a living now. Is I teach kids how to better take care of the planet and kind of nudge them and say,
Big Green Sound Machine?
Clean Green
Green Sound Machine. Check them out. That's Mark's show. I'm sorry, Big Green.
That's all good. It's all good.
Sorry.
Clean Green Music Machine. Yeah, so we're going and we're teaching kids about like how to better take care of the planet, and also nudging them, saying like, us adults, we don't know what we're doing. We need your help.
Yeah, we need you to fix this. Can you clean up our mess, please? Yeah.
Do not listen to us.
Yeah, we don't know.
Remember Melodigo?
Yeah, there you go, Melodigo. But yeah, that's awesome. So Nori, how about you? Maybe what do you think? What is the scam school called? I mean, like you said, it's sort of the re-education or like the uneducating of the status quo of what we've been used to, right?
Sure. Yeah, I'd say. Growing up, from the get-go, the most passionate things about is like youth liberation. I think education and like kind of like means like what we know and what we do and how we interact with each other is super important. So I think youth liberation and like alternative education are definitely like the kind of like pinpoints of my identity in terms of activism.
Yeah.
Like I think they're like we're in deep need of like an entire cultural shift in how we interact with each other and how we think about community events and how we think about community in general and how we just like think about everything that we share, whether it be resources or space or art or anything, and how we just like so I think that all starts with education and before we start learning about all these things, you kind of have to unlearn all this conditioning, or you even have to first understand that we can be conditioned by all these things, and that like you're not just like everything that you are isn't just you. It's like everything around you, and like first understanding that, and then understanding that you can change it. And that re-education, and not just feeling like alone.
Pulling the veil over, pulling the veil off. For lack of a better term, getting woke. I know it's the lamest term to say out loud. Can someone make a better term for saying that I'm aware that things are badder than they seem? Can we make a better term for that? But either way, like that's what you're talking about is sort of that re-education and seeing the grand scope. And that's such a disheartening moment in a lot of people's lives. Like I'm just gonna say, Nori, like realize when you find out Santa Claus is no longer real and that capitalism is a predatory system maintained to destroy you slowly over time.
Right.
Once that veil is gone, it's really hard to like stay positive. Man. But that's why we play music and that's why we go to shows, right, guys? That's why we do it. But yeah, that's awesome. That's great. So Shannon, how about you? What would you say is the cause that is like stands out to you the most, or you're most passionate?
Yeah. Well, it kind of feels similar to Mark in that I kind of really wanted to get involved in anti-racist activism. And it touches so many things. You can look at like prison abolition, to like folks on reservations fighting off pipelines. One thing I've been trying to work on like lately is giving resources to like white activists to figure out like what role they can play in dismantling white supremacy and like how they can engage, because I think that that's something people don't always know how to get involved in, especially when we're tangentially we're benefiting from that system.
100%, exactly. No, and I think that's a really difficult thing. And how many people out there right now don't talk to their uncles because We know how uncles can be.
You
We
gotta
know. I talk to my
racist
uncle.
You
Dude, I
gotta
talk to my
hate
racist uncle all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where the real change starts.
That's where the real change is.
It
Racist uncle.
truly is.
You know the trick? Get your uncle a little high, and then you can get him to admit,
Yeah.
and he's kind of a libertarian. And you're just
Yeah.
like, yeah, Trump sucks, right? And he's like,
Yeah.
well.
Bring a 6-pack to Thanksgiving.
He's like, well, and I'm like, yeah, I got you. I'm the winner. I'm the winner. Millennials rule. We will inherit the
Don't go
earth.
that far. That's
Oh, sorry.
There.
Let's destroy the napkin industry,
Controversial
guys.
territory.
Let's destroy the napkin industry. All right, well, we've been having a lot of fun here talking on the show about activism. Why don't you tell me what you're most passionate about? Leave a comment leave a comment in the section below. Tell us what cause you're most passionate about, or maybe something that you think more people should be passionate about. Either way, we're going to go to another cutaway. This next one we got is we've been having the Tour Down for What series with the Michael character. He's our band booker for the show. He's been giving us tour updates. This one, I think they review a pizza bagel from Pizza Hut. But either way, it's James Ikeda, the Michael character, along with Lewis Rowe. Let's go to that. When we come back, we got a bunch more talk for you.
Just do this again, Lou. Can you walk me through what's going on right now?
I'm looking for Pizza Huts along I-40. I just Google mapping Pizza Hut, but every time I change where I'm looking at or zoom out, I have to search the area again, and I've got very poor internet connection.
So that's the North Texas experience, and that's jazz.
Right there.
Woo! Alright. Okay, so Lou, what are we doing right now?
We are on our way to the 608. It's a vegan cafe. They've got an arts collective, and we're gonna get pizza bagels.
I don't think I got your face at all in that. Alright, so we got our pizza bagels. So I put some avocado on mine. Right. Alright, first bite. Go for it.
Alright.
Thoughts? Yeah.
I was expecting to completely sear off the top of my mouth, but that didn't happen at all. It was just perfect.
I'm so ready.
Wow.
I'm digging in. It's Cow City over there. That's crazy. Oh, this guy. So, pizza bagel review after the fact.
Oh my god. Those are the best pizza bagels I've had. What particularly struck me was the crispiness of the cheese.
Yeah, definitely.
The little flakes of crust sticking to the side. So good. They also did this interesting thing where we each ended up getting half of the bagel that we wanted. So I had half of an everything bagel and half of a Parmesan cheddar bagel. They were both so good. I couldn't decide which one I liked better. They were perfectly squishy.
I'm just saying, I don't feel the need to go to Hut anymore, to be totally honest. I mean, I just don't. I just don't think it's going to do it for me at this stage. I mean, not that it won't tomorrow, but...
Oh, by tomorrow it's a clean slate, but...
Yeah,
I'll definitely be thinking about that pizza bagel tonight.
Yeah, no question. Well, that's that.
Hey everybody, we're back here on the show. My name is Andrew Lowry. You just watched Tour Down for What, number 3, with the Michael character. Speaking of which, he's right next to me here. Welcome, James. Welcome, James. So this is your second appearance on the show. We've been playing, this is the third tour update from you. Thank you so much for giving us some videos from the road. Well, how long have you been back?
Just a few days.
Just a few days,
yeah.
and you are already dressed like the most dapper man in the room, as always.
Yeah, I just came here from a wedding, so I had to, I didn't have time to change really. But
How was the wedding? Was the wedding good?
It was. I don't want to be gross about it, but it was very on brand.
On brand.
It was delightfully on brand.
What are the odds? No, we're not putting that out there.
They really. It was a lot of fun, a lot of laughter.
Very cool.
It was great.
So how was tour? How was tour going out there? How was the road?
This was the best tour I've ever been on.
Really?
Yeah,
That's awesome.
It was wonderful. There was a bunch of shows that were really might not have happened, and they all ended up happening, which
See, that's the beauty when it all falls apart and you just hit the road and it just happens.
Yeah.
So what was maybe your favorite stop? What was the best town?
San Antonio, Texas.
Okay.
I've never been to before.
I've never
I had
been
a
to
great
either.
show.
Neither have I.
We played in a vape shop.
Okay, sick.
Which
I vape.
I was pretty sure was not going to be fun.
Yeah.
Because it came together with a week time to plan this entire thing. We played in this vape. We walked into the vape shop, and ended up being like super wonderful. It was awesome.
Did you get free vapes?
Well, originally we thought
Or
we
is
had to
it-
pay for them. We ended
Yeah.
up they comped them by the end. At post set, I went to pay.
That's a weird
Yes.
set where it's like not like here's a set beer half price off a meal. It's like here's some vape.
Well, and actually it was a
Blow some
what they call
rings.
an e-hookah. So
E-hookah.
it's like the
I was
the
waiting for that
attachment
to
you-
happen,
you
yeah.
pull, but it's attached onto to a little box. It's very weird.
Did it smell good
In the middle
though?
of your set, you're like, oh, geez, I hope this vape doesn't cost that much money.
I think it was they were charging hourly or something, and I just
Okay.
like stopped using it, and then also didn't. It was weird.
That's weird. They can't do that with cigarettes. But
Yeah.
either way,
Charged
I'm
by
glad
the
to
hour?
see. Yeah, charged by the hour. If you're smoking a cigarette for an hour, you should get a doctor. So yeah, but it's great to have you back. So yeah, so we just watched a tour video of yours. You went with the great Louis Rowe, friend of ours. He's actually on the show next week.
Wonderful.
So Louis Rowe, you went on tour together, and I saw in the video you guys got a pizza bagel.
Yeah, so we were looking for a Pizza Hut in North Texas, and we were having no luck. And
Okay.
then we ended up finding this wonderful cafe that had pizza bagels, which we
Just-
figured would
it was-
substitute.
Yeah,
Fine.
and how did they turn out?
It's hard to communicate, but it really was the best pizza bagel I've ever had, and probably could ever be.
Okay.
I think.
So it was a homemade. It was like it was an artisanal pizza bagel.
It was. Yeah, it took a while to make. It was worth the wait. 806 Cafe in Amarillo.
Hit it up.
So
All our
everyone-
Texas fans.
Yeah, they didn't book me a show.
Hope you're safe. There's a hurricane.
Did send them an email about booking a show. Did
Did
not
you?
get a reply.
Did you?
But I will plug them in.
We'll just sing about pizza bagels. I'll write a song for you. But yeah, so James, I wanted to catch up with you, see how tour went, and I don't know, you mind hanging out on the panel for the rest of the talk?
Sure.
So you yourself are a huge organizer, just like me. We all love to organize. But you do a lot of stuff relating to activism, getting people educated and sort of getting, so that's what we're talking about today. So for maybe our viewers who don't know much about this, what is some of the civic sort of involvement and some organizational stuff you've done relating to that?
Well, I've been involved in a group recently called the Bummer City Historical Society Civic Engagement Coalition.
Ooh.
Which
If
is
you can
very
make the
ugly.
name any longer.
It's very ugly when you read it out, but I insist on it being that long.
I like it.
And we've been trying. Our whole sort of idea is that people were interested in becoming involved in local government, but had virtually no idea how it worked at all. And
Yeah.
really, if you look at just voter turnout for local elections, people don't come out. And when you do ask anybody, I could ask somebody if their town how the government is structured, and they wouldn't be able to answer even a
Yeah.
simple question about it. So we decided we wanted to create a space for people to learn together. Because we didn't, know as much as we ought to anyway.
Yeah.
So we started having meetings in my house where people would come and we would sort of make dinner and stuff, and then talk about just
Anything.
local
That's
government.
awesome.
And then basically it's evolved to the point where now we actually just booked 5 meetings at the Boston Public Library, and we're going to be running 5 meetings ahead of the municipal elections in November to teach people about how to most effectively engage with.
Well,
local
see, that's
government.
great, because we were right before the video, we were talking about how do you get people to stand up, how do you get them to organize. And I think, like you said, you didn't even know everything.
Right.
You wanted to learn. And being not afraid to not know. I think a thing I talked about on the show before is sort of the idea that everyone's a poser at a certain point. You know what I mean? Nobody comes out of the womb listening to Sonic Youth. I don't care how cool your parents were, you're not that hip. So nobody comes out knowing everything about everything. And so I think a lot of people are scared right now to say they don't know something. And so a lot of people put opinions out there and say, well, this is my opinion, and it's what I believe, and I don't want to look like I'm dumb because I don't know everything, Like, I get questioned a lot for my beliefs when people try to, the people who try to play devil's advocate and, like, mess with your opinion. And it's like, okay, I don't know everything about the subject and every single little, like, hypocritical moment that's ever happened and have an argument against that, but what I'm saying is just for, like, being a good person and, like, having, empathy, like, it's
Sure.
whatever. But that's another whole conversation altogether. But so I think that's great. I think that's really cool. And if we want to get a part of what you guys are doing, where can we find it? On the internet?
It's actually going to be on the City of Boston's website.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, so that's. I'm looking
Check out
forward
the
to that
City of
going out.
Boston's website. A
It's-
website I never thought I'd plug.
A few more days.
A few more days.
So-
Very cool. Very cool. So we'll be sharing that out. We'll try to get people involved with James and stuff. But we're talking about activism. But one of the things I always like to have fun questions for everybody here. So this was a fun one. At the top, we said our favorite protest song. Now I want to know your least favorite protest song. Now I'm going to take everyone's and say Wagon Wheel. And then it's off the table. That's my least favorite song. But we'll go around. So we'll start with you, Mark. I like starting with you because you're right there. So Mark, what's maybe your least favorite protest song?
One second, let me rescue this egg.
It's okay. The egg doesn't stay up straight.
My least favorite protest song is anyone that starts with "Hey Hey Ho Ho."
Okay.
"Hey Hey Ho Ho" has got to go.
How about a millennial whoop? Can we do millennial whoops? Ha!
Yeah, I'd be okay with that. Oh,
Yeah. So then.
now, like whatever. Yeah, that's fine. That's great.
Whoa, whoa. I hate that so much. That's solid. That's good. So don't start with hays and hoes.
We can do better.
We can do
We
better.
can do better.
How about you, Nori? What's maybe a protest song or maybe a song about that's like got a political stance maybe you're not into?
I don't know. I hear a lot of, like, one time I went to a protest and a whole bunch of white people were singing Kumbaya. And I was
Okay, fair. I don't think, yeah.
It's in a clear 1,000 times over.
I
Kumbaya.
formally apologize on their behalf.
Yeah. I don't even know
if
how to
anybody
play.
can.
What are even the chords to Kumbaya?
I don't know.
I don't wanna
You
learn
Shazam it. You gotta,
Shazam it?
Do they have that feature?
1-4 stop.
Yeah, I guess. Okay, so no Kumbaya, no hays and hoes. Shannon, how about you?
My least favorite is when people start chanting shame, but they inevitably speed it up, so it becomes like a slow clap where they're like shame, 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 and there's no graceful ending to that.
I think yelling shame. That I just think of that Game of Thrones scene when Cersei gets her head shaved and she has to walk through. Some people know what I'm talking about. Well, I can't talk about Game of Thrones on the show.
I haven't got that far yet.
Oh, I just spoiled Game of Thrones for someone in the crew. Sorry, Josh. So either way, for the watch, for the wall. Watch it Sundays. Don't watch us. Watch Game of Thrones. But yeah, so I think that's good.
I just think the movement deserves better.
If you're gonna shame someone, you can't speed it up because then the emphasis on the shame, like it needs to that was good, right?
We should just like make a soundboard of you doing different things and
I
then
like
just, like,
this.
come up with like a.
Yeah, it's coming to the App Store this summer.
Throw a Wilhelm screw on your ass.
Yeah, screw Angry Birds, #1 right here, baby. So James, how about you? What's maybe one of your favorite or least favorite protest songs?
Oh, not to be a nerd about it, but
Yeah.
I think my main problem with most protest songs is that good activism emerges out of a theory of change, and if people haven't really given much thought to that, then the music they produce tends to be incredibly unuseful. So I've heard most protest songs that just to be perfectly frank, almost the vast majority of protest songs that I've heard, I don't think do anything or are useful. Or help at all.
No, because I mean,
I think what tends to happen is that people like go to a thing and they hear music and they go, oh, yes, I feel very good, and they go home and they go to bed and they wake up and nothing is at all. They don't think any different. Nothing has changed at all, and that's.
So it's like a
very
siren
scary.
song to bring you up onto the rocks.
Yeah,
and then
and it also that when you infuse that with self-righteousness and you get people who just feel like, oh, we're doing it, and if you're building community or if you're like thinking about something, that's good. But I think a lot of times it's just kind of feel good, aesthetically protest, and that just bothers me in a way that few things do.
No, I understand that completely. I think, and that's a lot of people opposing other beliefs, whether it's left or right side. I think that sort of poser-ish or sort of lack of authenticity is so easily pointed out and discredits so much of whatever you're trying to fight against at some point. So James says, screw protest songs altogether.
Unless Troll 2 wrote.
Unless Troll 2 wrote them,
Because those are my favorite.
We all take drugs. That's a protest song, right, Chris?
To give me Adderall.
It is. It totally is. It totally is about big fun. But yeah, so we're getting close to the end of the conversation here. But I always like leaving everybody off with one last piece of advice. So we'll go around the circle. We're not going to start with Mark this time. I'll start with you, Nori, and we'll work around me this way. So someone looking out there who feels like they either want to get involved or organize themselves, what's a piece of advice you'd give someone looking to do something like that?
I would say start with like self-reflecting on like how you want, like how organizable you want to be.
Yeah.
Like how ready you want to be. Like I feel like a lot of time like organizers really not only have to like do most of the organizing and the work, but they actually have to go up and beyond to try and make it enticing for you to like come to this thing. So I think really just start thinking about I want and like really make goals for yourself in terms of like what's actually the reason why you're getting involved, and then thinking more about like what things kind of fall under that category, and not just be going for it for like, oh, there's like 100 of us doing this thing, so that's what makes it feel good. It's like, it's the long term that really keeps these things going. So how organizable do you want it to be? Like, how, if someone tells you to come to this thing, whether you're actually going to be able to, like, what's important about it? Whether
it's 100 people or it's 5 people,
exactly.
If the heart's not there,
Right.
is it really worth doing?
Exactly.
That's great. I think that's really good. Shannon, how about you? What's a piece of advice you give someone looking out there to do the same things we do?
Yeah. Well, I think that like I have 2 key pieces of advice. One would be that might be uncomfortable. I think that this is something that people do because they love it and they want to affect change, not because it's like easy or comforting.
Yeah.
And I think being willing to listen is a huge piece of that, especially for like white folks who are looking to become involved in movements. I had a couple of groups that I wanted to suggest as like a concrete way.
Yeah.
For example, like I know a lot of people were really interested in organizing around Standing Rock when that pipeline was being fought. There's a really cool organization called UAIN, the United American Indians of New England. It's a Native-led organization, which is a really great resource for people like looking to get involved. I also wanted to recommend just a few others. There's an organization called Black and Pink. They focus on LGBTQ inmates with the focus towards prison abolition, but they do things like you can write letters to inmates as a pen pal. You can help transcribe mail. So there's like a lot of, there's so many different, like a million causes and a million ways you can get involved. There's also an organization called City Life Vida Urbana, which is, I think, particularly relevant here. They fight displacement and gentrification.
Wow. Yeah.
They provide resources for people, like lower-income folks who are being evicted. So I would just recommend people kind of do a little research, and like there's so many people like working on these causes that you can really like plug in, according to like whatever your interest is. There are people doing that work.
And I think that's a great point. Don't always be worried about being the one in charge or the one who built it in the first place. Any idea or any feeling you have is probably out there. Just like any band name we try to think of, there's probably a band out there. It's the same thing with activism. I feel like if there's a cause, someone's working towards that already. And
and there's so many roles you can play. I mean, there are like flashy, like satisfying roles, and there are people who need to like wash the dishes and clean the house and watch the children.
Right. Totally.
So it's like, according to everyone's ability, like you were saying, I mean, there's an endless amount of things that like folks can do to get involved.
Right.
Very cool.
If I can just add on to that real quick, like to my original point, just like I think to being organizable is just like see people who are doing radical work like that and people that you admire and really reaching out to them and make it like known that like, hey, like if you need me to do something, let me know. Like I want to be involved. I want to. And then when they do actually reach out and you do see something that's being online, whether it's something that you think is going to be really cool or etc., you know that you already made that commitment. And you already like pose yourself as this person to even to yourself or to someone else and show up and
that's true.
And
do
that
with this show and with everything I've ever done, anybody who reaches out to me first and asks to help with me, I will love you forever. Andrea, you reached out to me, and she's behind our camera right now that I'm looking at, and she's been here for every show since, and she's been the biggest help. Same Marvin, thank you so much.
Adam Johnston, you kick ass.
Yeah, but that's the whole thing. You reach out to me, I will bug you forever until the end of time to help me with the weird things that I do. And if you're still into it, that's cool. And I'll help you anytime as well. But yeah, so James, real quick, one last piece of advice you got.
I think you should honestly interrogate your theory of change when you're trying to embark on something involved in activism, but at the same time, and almost as a contradiction, radical knowledge comes out of movement organizing itself and comes out of doing activism, and so that's sort of a cycle.
Yeah.
So you have to always be reflecting on your practice.
Well, that brings up a great point off the top of the show. I was talking about confidence, and I think me and you have actually talked about this before, where I think confidence is 50% complete self-realization and 50% complete delusion on yourself. So you have to be completely strong and be like, I'm great and everything I'm doing is working, but at the same time critically analyze every move you make. And I think that's a great point to make. Very cool. Mark, last on the bill. What's one last piece of advice from you, homie?
Y'all said it. I don't know.
Give us the good heartwarming one at the end.
Good heart. You know what? Okay, yeah, I got one.
Okay.
It's don't get too hung up on ideological differences when you're working with people.
Totally.
We're not all on the same page, but we're all working together, and a lot of us are working really hard.
Unity. No left.
There's no
No left unity. Oh, I knew this was going to get heated at some point.
Well, no, but because it's everything that we're fighting for is important. There's not a hierarchy here.
No.
But sometimes we're working together here on a specific task, and we want to stay focused there. And sometimes there's like people in the room that kind of suck.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, sometimes we have to boot them out. Sometimes we have to tolerate them. But we have to think about that. We have to figure out the best way to move forward with this incredibly diverse, complex movement with lots of different people here. We're all here, like Stanley from The Office, as he says. We don't have to get along. We just have to work together.
There you go.
There's no I in team.
There's no I in team.
But don't take anyone's shit
there's
either.
an
Let me be
M&E.
clear.
But yeah, so either way, we're hanging out here on the show. I want to thank you all for coming on. You guys hang out for... after the break, we have an amazing live performance from Conor Hennessy.
Yeah.
Let's get those snaps out there. He's been hung over in the corner all day, calling him right out. But I'm so happy he's here and appreciate so much him fighting through it to be here.
I'm trying to say also tour
yeah.
partner as well.
Tour partner
2
as
weeks.
well with James.
Excellent tour partner.
How was he? Yeah.
Yeah,
He said you do crazy stuff.
Well,
That's
yeah,
what he had told me.
That's probably true.
He's
yeah.
basically, Conor was like, before the show, he's like, yeah, James is just like, I'm going to do this thing. And you're like, he can't do that thing. And then he just does it. And you're like, what?
That's sort of the dynamic.
Okay, cool. I dig it. So either way, you're watching DIY, the mother flipping show. When we come back from this music video, we're going to have some performance from Conor Hennessy. Stick around. We'll be right back. Here on DIY, the mother flipping show. My name is Andrew Leary. I've had a great time. Thank you to Shannon, Mark, and Nori, and James for all being on the panel today. Thanks to Carbia and Jimmy for being in the house with me. Thank you to all my crew and cast. At the end of the show, I like to leave you what I learned today. What I basically learned today is what I've always already known. If you want to make something happen and you want to make change in the real world, you got to start by doing something about it. You got to, find someone to get organized with. Shannon listed off a couple of organizations you can look up. Google is a powerful tool, and like I was saying at the end of our talk segment, if you've thought of an idea, if you have a cause, someone's probably working on that already. So why don't you go support them, or find something and conglomerate together, whatever you want to do. I don't really care, but I think that you should be out there getting active and making real change, because right now it's pretty important. But either way, I want to thank you all for watching, and I always like to leave you with a live performance. Behind me is Conor Hennessy. Conor, how we doing?
Hey, good.
Hey, thank you so much, Conor, for being on the show. But without further ado, I'd like to give Conor some time to perform, so let's hear some tunes. Everybody clap!
Hennessy! Not to be confused with the liquor.
I'm Conor Hennessy, and this is called Mr. Hennessy Was a Bicycle. Sing along, you know the words. Mr. Hennessy, what's a bicycle? Is it something I can ride? Is it Bluetooth compatible? Can it tweet, share, like? Does it need a stupid dongle? Can it even hold a charge? Said a little pug-nosed kid with a tablet in his arms. When I was just a boy, even more than I am now, I'd ride myself to work, selling cigarettes downtown on a 1970 steel frame with Italian leather bars. I'd laugh at all them fools in rusted Massachusetts cars. She had 27-inch tires, the old European size. Whenever I got a flat, the bike shop guys would roll their eyes. Yeah, but that bike got me freedom, and it got me my first job. And that job got me a car, which in turn got me a better job. But Mr. Hennessy, what's a bicycle? Is it something I can ride? Is it Bluetooth compatible? Can it tweet, share, like? Does it need a stupid dongle? Can it even hold a charge? Said a little pug-nosed kid with a tablet in his arms. I remember J.K. Rowling pumping books out overseas. We'd watch her stupid movies on big screens and on TVs, and we never understood why our teachers got real sad when they saw us kids reading British wizard trash. 'Cause the good stuff's in the authors who didn't have deadlines, no board of directors, no all they had was time. Flannery O'Connor never wavered, Dostoevsky never strayed from the funny sardonic truths we still encounter to this day. But Mr. Hennessy, what's a book? Is it something I can play? Is it plug into my Xbox? Is it something I can play? Is it the robot that my mother bought that vacuums up our floors? Is it something I can play? Said a little girl staring into her phone. Well, all the things I did when I was just a kid, lighting Cincinnati fire kites in the landfill sand pit, making hairspray potato cannons out of stolen PVC. Yeah, lighting shit on fire was the coolest thing to be. So I must be getting older, 'cause I'm angry all the time. I hate my stupid phone and social media alike, and the only reason y'all came out was a stupid Facebook post. Instead of reading or riding bikes, we're all stuck staring into our phones. But Mr. Hennessy, what's a bicycle? Is it something I can ride? Is it Bluetooth compatible? Can it tweet, share, like? Does it need a stupid dongle? Can it even hold a charge? Said a little pug-nosed kid with a tablet in his arms.
All right, everybody, let's hear it again for Conor Hennessy. Yay! All right, here, I'll approach you. Thanks so much, Conor, for being on the show. Amazing songs, amazing performance. So at the end of the show here, I want to thank you all for watching. Next week, we're talking about art. I got Sammy from Puppy Problems. I got Louis Rowe, Squishy Sandwich Art. Got a bunch of other people on the show. It's going to be really crazy, really fun time. You guests who want to come up here, anybody in the audience want to come up and stand on the stage? But at the end of the show, everybody come up here right now. I love you all so much. You're all beautiful. Find us on Facebook, on the internet, on YouTube, on Twitter. You can find me on Friendster. You can find me at the mall. It's going down. But either way, Shannon out to Shannon. Shannon is outside smoking. I will be too. And to Carbia's family. Big up. Sonny Jim, you want to play us out? You've been watching DIY, everybody. See you next week.